Yo, it's your boy Mike Smith, also known as Akins, also known as the coolest guy in sports, the truth teller, the wizard. Remember, the truth is often uncomfortable, but that is what I am here for. And we're back with another fire video. We're talking two of the best big men in the NBA. We're talking about two versatile bigs. We're talking about the future best big man in the NBA in Victor Wembanyama, and also probably the future best player sooner rather than later in Victor Wembanyama. And we're talking about a vet, talking about a generational talent. We're talking about Anthony Davis. But I have a question. Who is better between the two? And some people may think this is an easy answer or an easy question, but to be honest, it is not. And then we get to see who's been watching basketball. I love having these conversations because it lets me know like who's really been locked in, watching basketball, really engaged, watching the games, and watching greatness when we talk about Anthony Davis and we talk about Victor Wembanyama. I came out previous stream. I basically said that Victor Wembanyama is already, as we speak, a top talent, top 10 talent, top 10 skill. For his talent and skill set, he's top 10. When we talk about Victor Wembanyama, we talk about his overall potential. We talk about everything he's doing this season so far. But I had to ask the question because Anthony Davis is having a hell of a season. Anthony Davis is the best player on the Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony Davis has been being the hub for the Los Angeles Lakers, like JJ Redick said he was going to be this upcoming season, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. But I had to ask the question, who is better between the two when we talk about Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Davis? Victor Wembanyama is averaging 26 points, shooting 48.7% from the field, 36% from the three-point line, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks per game. Those are great numbers for a 21-year-old. And once again, this is probably the worst Victor Wembanyama is ever going to be. The fact that we're having this conversation and comparing who's better between him and Anthony Davis, who is in his prime right now, speaks volumes of the potential that Victor Wembanyama has. Now, Anthony Davis, 26 points, 11 rebounds, 32% from the three-point line, 1.2 steals per game, and also 2 blocks per game, as well as 3.4 assists. Who is better? So you have to ask this question. Based on the raw numbers, based on the stats, who is having a better season? But to me, just because a player is having a particular better season does not always mean they are the better player. From an offensive standpoint, I think Victor Wembanyama is having a better season than Anthony Davis from an offensive standpoint and also for a defensive standpoint. When we think about offense, we think about the responsibility that Victor Wembanyama has in comparison to Anthony Davis. Even though Anthony Davis is the Los Angeles Lakers' best player, he still has LeBron James, who is averaging like 22, 8 and 8, I believe. Like he's averaging prime Magic Johnson numbers. So when we talk about who's better and we're talking about the stats and we're talking about the numbers, I think Victor Wembanyama is having a better statistical season than Anthony Davis. And I also think Victor Wembanyama is also having a better defensive season than Anthony Davis, even though personally I believe that Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo are probably the two best defensive players in the league right now due to their versatility. And this has kind of been, quote unquote, a down year for Anthony Davis, but I will say it also contributes to the fact that he doesn't have one person on the Los Angeles Lakers team that actually really plays defense in that starting lineup. I know they just got Dorian Finney-Smith, and he will be starting sooner rather than later. But if you look at the responsibility that Anthony Davis has, and for his like his switchability and his versatility, it's a little bit more responsibility than Victor Wembanyama has, I would personally say. So when we talk about versatility, so you have Anthony Davis, you have Victor Wembanyama. I think we can look at their shot chart for his versatility. Share my screen. Let's look at Anthony Davis's. This is Anthony Davis. Here's his numbers. Here's his stats. This is his shot chart. So we see Anthony Davis' shot chart right here, and it's mostly inside. Like right now, Anthony Davis, as great as he is, he's really kind of like, he's truly a center. He's not the Anthony Davis we've seen with the crazy handling ability and creation ability off the dribble that we've seen back in his NOLA days. Right now, he is a kind of like being a Tim Duncan right now for the Los Angeles Lakers, which is still great, still one of the best lob, probably the best lob threat in the National Basketball Association. He also can still operate and score in the second level in the basketball court as well at times, even though most of his buckets are coming at the rim. And most of his buckets are either dunks for his like the easy lob threat that he is, one of the best lob threats in the league. And they also, shooting a jump shot and really like the hook shot sometimes as well. So it's in layups. So when we talk about Anthony Davis and we see his shot chart and we talk about quote unquote versatility with Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a versatile scorer in the post and in the mid-range. He has a reliable face-up game. He's still an elite finisher at the rim, and he is one of the best lob threats in the NBA. So that's his scoring makeup. When we talk about scoring makeup. When we talk about Victor Wembanyama, and we talk about his shot versatility, his shot chart, and the things that he's doing on the basketball court, it's special. It's special. We're looking at a 3-level score. And I see a lot of these shots, and he's shooting 36% from the three-point line. He's taking like nine attempts per game. But he is a 3-level scorer. And one will argue for his versatility, we would like to see Victor Wembanyama get in the post and use his size and use his frame, because once he taps into that, or if he taps into that part of scoring the basketball, he will even be more lethal. He will be more dominant. But I think that's going to come in due time. But for his versatility, we have to give the edge to Victor Wembanyama, because Victor Wembanyama is more so a 3-level scorer. But so for scoring, Anthony Davis, versatile scorer, post, big, post, he's scoring in the post, in the mid-range, and things of that nature. He's still one of the best face-up players in the league. And for his defense, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. He's a better 1-5 defender than Victor Wembanyama, switchability defender as well. Even though Victor Wembanyama is having a better defensive season, and people are going to say like he's the better defensive player overall, I'm going to say I do not believe that is the case. Even though, because we know Victor Wembanyama gets a lot of blocks, we know that he has, for his analytics and advanced stats, they look at a lot of his ability to alter shots at the rim and deter shots at the rim and things of that nature, which makes sense for he is going to, when you talk about the analytics and things of that nature, and the defensive, his defensive net rating when he's on the court compared to off the court is better than Anthony Davis as well. And you look at a lot of those stats and things of that nature, it kind of favors Victor Wembanyama as well. But I would say like for us, like the alternate shots and being a deterrent from the defensive side and those types of analytics, it's also other things that are getting into a factor of play when we have those conversations. Maybe the defender, maybe the defender sees a help side coming from the back. It's like maybe he sees Victor Wembanyama coming over. That's a deterrent, and he goes the other way. Or maybe his defender he has his defender beating. He sees another defender slides over. So it's all different types of things when you can talk about like that can force a offensive player to not go to the basket, but also force like the 1-5 and switchability aspect and versatility aspect when we talk about Victor Wembanyama in comparison to Anthony Davis. He's had a better defensive year than Anthony Davis. I will say that. He's also is a freak of nature. So for the perimeter and guarding on a perimeter and guarding off the switch, a lot of times Victor Wembanyama is not. He has a ways to go when we talk about perimeter defense and when he gets to switch. But a lot of times he is so physically gifted athletically for his length, he can let a defender kind of blow by him and then make it up and block the shot. That doesn't mean that you're a better perimeter defender. That just means that he has God-given ability that Anthony Davis may not have, or Joel Embiid may not have, or Bam Adebayo may not have, or Rudy Gobert may not have. So, yes, you can say that Victor Wembanyama this season has been a better offensive player and defensive player You can make that case. You can definitely, I think that's 100% fact. But for his overall defense, I will give the edge to still Anthony Davis because I think he's a better 1 through 5 and a switchable defender, as well as being still a pretty elite rim protector. And overall, just defensive IQ, I think is better than Victor Wembanyama as well. Rebounding is a toss up. I would say physicality allows Anthony Davis to kind of box out and get tougher rebounds, especially when we're talking about like offensively as well. Playmaking ability, Anthony Davis is a solid playmaker, not elite by any measures, but he can create double teams and he's able to pass out of the double teams. And so when we talk about that's Anthony Davis. So Victor Wembanyama scored 3 levels, inside mid-range, beyond the arc, shooting 36% from the three-point line, 9 attempts per game, hoping that he can continue to develop his offensive game in the post, because once he really develops into that, Victor Wembanyama will average 40 points in the National Basketball Association someday. Once again, once Victor Wembanyama develops his post game and gets comfortable at the block and gets comfortable with taking contact and builds that muscle mass and gets more comfortable with his footwork in the post and face-up game, he will one day average 40 points because everything is there. He's averaging 26 right now at 21 years old. This is the worst season he would ever, and probably the worst he'll ever be in the NBA. He has that potential to average 40 points. He's going to be the modern day Wilt Chamberlain in the National Basketball Association. So it's going to get scary, but he's a 3-level scorer already. Defense, unreal shot, blocking ability, his length, his size. We talked about that. Playmaking ability, he's going to improve on that, has strong passing vision as a big man, has shown ability of handling the ball and going from north to south and, from the opposing end to the other end and kind of being a point center, kind of like Jokic at times. I've seen that in some aspects on the basketball court during all the several possessions. He has that makeup. Maybe he can develop and his playmaker will develop over time. And, of course, he has potential upside over Anthony Davis right now because Anthony Davis is 31 years old and Victor Wembanyama is 21 years old. So when you say who is better, the stats and the eye test offensively and defensively this year kind of point to Victor Wembanyama. But I would say overall, I think Anthony Davis, especially when we haven't seen Victor Wembanyama in the playoffs, but when your eyes tell you what you're going to see. And once a player gets in that first playoff matchup and you see him play when the game slows down and see how great he is and things of that nature, you're going to be able to remove any doubt about his ability and what he's going to do going forward in the future. But for us, Victor Wembanyama and Anthony Davis, I'll say this once again, just because the stats say that Anthony Davis is not having his best defensive season, the analytics and things of that nature, in comparison to Victor Wembanyama, and even offensively, you want to give the edge to probably Victor Wembanyama because he's a more of a 3-level scorer. I would still say overall, even though Victor Wembanyama is having a better regular season, I would still say Anthony Davis is still the best player overall. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because just because you have a better regular season does not automatically mean you are a better player, especially when you're comparing players, you're comparing team situations, you're comparing responsibility, you're comparing age, you're also comparing dominance and consistency over the course of, I like to say, a 3-year stretch in the regular season and also in the postseason. And for us, like, offensive versatility for Anthony Davis, his versatility for his 3-point shooting ability is not the same as Victor Wembanyama. He also doesn't shoot a lot of threes in comparison to Victor Wembanyama. But also, if you look at the shot chart for Anthony Davis, his percentages don't change that much. Like, he's still shooting in the 50% in the fourth quarter. And that's very important when we talk about getting into the postseason and we're talking about when the game slows down. Can you be dependent on? Is your field goal percentage going to decrease? Is your production going to drop off? For Anthony Davis, as you can see in the fourth quarter, is still hovering around at 50%, and he's shooting 52% from the field. So I give me the player where I know that's going to be consistent throughout each and every quarter and also has experience in doing it at the highest level, as well as being a more versatile defender and switchable defender, which is going to be needed in the postseason in comparison to Victor Wembanyama, who is having a better technical, quote-unquote, defensive season than Anthony Davis and offensive season. But that's when it comes with, we talk about the talent and the skill set, where talent and skill set, you would say that Victor Wembanyama is a top 10 basketball player for his talent and skill set. Overall, though, by the end of the season, he possibly could be an overall, when you think of everything, a top 10 player, top 10 to 15 player in this league overall. But as of right now, I don't think he's overall a better basketball player than Anthony Davis, even though you can make a case and you can argue that he's having a better regular season than Anthony Davis. I just think Anthony Davis, his clutchness, his ability to be consistent in the fourth quarter translates to the playoffs for his like field goal percentage and being efficient, as well as being a more versatile defender, a player that can guard 1 through 5 and off the switch, even though Victor Wembanyama is a freak of nature defensively for us. Like, he doesn't maybe have to guard as much on the perimeter because he can block shots and force a kick out if a player is trying to drive to the lane. But at the same time, I've seen Victor Wembanyama get done up 1-2 on the perimeter a lot as well. And also just in the postseason, the game slows down. Are you going to be able to rely on that 3-level shot making ability of Victor Wembanyama when, even though he can score in 3 levels, if you look at his shot chart as well, as a lot of 3-point shots, a lot of scoring in the mid-range as well, but in the post, which he's 7'5", you would think that would be his best aspect to his game. He still has a lot to work on and a lot to improve on, and sometimes he's taking difficult shots in comparison to Anthony Davis. So, for who's better, it's still Anthony Davis. That is my answer. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Overall, I think it's Anthony Davis. Regular season right now, Victor Wembanyama is having a better regular season. But I would be crazy to say that overall, based on everything that Anthony Davis has done, based on Anthony Davis' versatility as a defender, based on Anthony Davis' consistent and efficient manner in production in each and every quarter, and also in the postseason, I don't think that Victor Wembanyama is a better overall basketball player than Anthony Davis, even though the stats and the eye test so far this year is favored. It favors Victor Wembanyama. But overall, still, I got to give the edge to Anthony Davis because of things that I mentioned earlier in the stream. And versatility, switchability on defense is very important, and also efficiency amongst the quarters, as well as getting easier and open looks. As great as Victor Wembanyama is, he's 21 years old. He's going to have to find a way to get easy looks because a lot of times he's taking – and he can shoot over anybody. He's 7'5", but a lot of times it's just like, you're 7'5". Why are you making things more difficult where it should be a little bit more easier? So let me know in the comments. This is your boy, Mike K. Smith. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on AKISS NBA and all the social media platforms. I'm gone, man. Peace.